welcome back to Premier League predictions. It's week 22 and I'm going to be predicting every single one of these games this week alongside ChatGPT and the Random Football Scoreline Generator to see who's the best at predicting. Last week I didn't win, ChatGPT didn't win, but the Random Football Scoreline Generator battered both of us. I guess it was a random week last week, but let's get predicting week 22. Starting off with a Manchester derby. Manchester City, you won 2-0 versus Newcastle in the first leg of the semi-final of the Carabao Cup. To be fair, you did dominate the second half against Newcastle, but the first half, you couldn't even get a shot off. You had all the possession, but you were not utilising your possession well against Newcastle, at least for the first half. And it was a boring, dull first half. Trust me, I watched it all. But prior to that win against Newcastle at St James's Park, you got 3 draws in a row. And you're now facing a Manchester United team who couldn't even beat Burnley. I'm going for the logical prediction. Man City should win this. They're above Manchester United in the table. They're playing better than Manchester United. With all the changes Manchester United's going through with their manager, I don't think it's going to help Man United in this game. So 3-1 Man City. 5-3 to Manchester United, the Random Football Scoreline Generator predicts.
City are second in the table and far more settled, while United are still adapting after a managerial change. City's recent form and derby edge give them the advantage. 2-1 to Manchester City, a controlled win where City dominate possession and game tempo.
Over to the Stadium of Light, it's Sunderland versus Crystal Palace. Sunderland lost 3-0 to Brentford. Now, Brentford are doing well in terms of they're getting wins and all, but that was your worst defensive display by a country mile. Sunderland against Brentford. It was terrible. You just allowed them to walk into the penalty box, allowed them to score 3 goals, and you couldn't even score a penalty. What is Lefay doing with that Penacre? Easy for Kelleher, straight down the middle, an awful penalty. Try and place it in a corner. Why are you going down the middle? Silly little Lefay. But Sunderland are now home. They are still undefeated this Premier League season at home, and I think it's going to remain because they are playing Crystal Palace, who did do well to hold off an Aston Villa defence. So if Crystal Palace can hold off an Aston Villa defence, they can definitely hold off a Sunderland defence. And Crystal Palace, you were close to scoring against Aston Villa at times. And if Sunderland played that bad defensively again, or at least glimpses of that bad defensively, I think Crystal Palace can get a goal and make this a close game. 1-1. Sunderland are home, I can't see them losing, especially against Crystal Palace who haven't won for 8 games. But again, Crystal Palace do look really good defensively, so it's going to be a tight game. 1-1 says the Random Football Scoreline Generator. The Random Generator agrees with me. I don't know whether that's a good thing or a bad thing.
Sunderland have been inconsistent, especially against organised sides. Palace are sharper on the counter and you're clinical. 2-0 to Crystal Palace, a calm away win with Palace in control throughout.
Over to a London derby. It is at Stamford Bridge. It's Chelsea versus Brentford. Brentford, you are in 5th place for 33 points. Let's not go back in time to see what I said about Brentford at the start of the season, because I said they were going to get relegated, and evidently that's not going to happen. Quite the opposite. And it's all thanks to Igor Thiago. Obviously it's not just him making Brentford play really well, it's other players as well. But if you take Igor Thiago out of that picture, Brentford will score way less goals. And I am going to give Brentford a couple of goals in a high scoring game. With service from Damsgaard, Sharda, and now the likes of Dango Ouattara returning from AFCON, Brentford should be able to score some goals. But they are facing Chelsea. Now, Brentford are actually 3 places above Chelsea, which is bizarre. And I feel like this game is going to revert everything back to reality. Brentford, you're doing well, but I think the reason why you won against Sunderland was more so Sunderland's defence being absolutely terrible, making you look really good. Don't get me wrong, Brentford, you are looking good, but I don't think you're looking as good as your results are showing. I've said this last week, I've said this a lot. Maybe I'm just a hater on Brentford without knowing. Considering Chelsea are at Stamford Bridge with home advantage, Considering Chelsea haven't won for a while, it means they're probably due a win. And that squad looks like a better squad than 8th position. And Brentford away from home are significantly worse. I think this is the really good chance for Chelsea to get back on winning ways. I'm going 3-2 to Chelsea. They've also got a bit of a manager bounce, Liam Rizanier. 5-0 to Chelsea, the Random Football Scoreline Generator says.
Chelsea are strong at home and usually edge these tight London games. Brentford will compete, but tend to concede chances away. 2-1 to Chelsea, a close match, but Chelsea control most of the game.
Liverpool at Anfield up next, facing Burnley. Late minute drama to equalise versus Manchester United. Manchester United had 30 shots to your 7 shots. So it was definitely a domination. And Burnley, you had 2 off-the-line clearances against Manchester United, and you kept it a close game. Even though the stats showed domination towards Man United, it's not going to be the same again. Liverpool are way more consistent than Man United. Liverpool played, I would say, from a Liverpool perspective, considering how the season's gone so far, they played pretty well versus Arsenal. Getting a 0-0 draw against the league leaders is really good. For the first half, they were lacking a bit of creativity, but in the second half, Liverpool practically dominated. Obviously, some referee controversy over Martinelli. Probably should have got a red card, but that's in the past now. You're going to have to move on, and you're going to win this 3-0. Burnley's in the relegation zone. Liverpool played really well defensively, dominated the second half against Arsenal, who are first. And yeah, Liverpool are way higher up in the table than Burnley. Liverpool are home at Anfield. Burnley, you've got no chance. 1-0 to Liverpool. I could see that happening. Burnley can show some good defensive qualities, but I think Liverpool have been looking a bit too good, and it's going to be a bit more of an open game than that.
Liverpool at Anfield against a struggling Burnley side usually means pressure from minute 1. 3-0 to Liverpool, an absolute domination job from start to finish.
Another London derby. It is Tottenham Hotspur versus West Ham United. West Ham, you're doomed. You lost 2-1 to Nottingham Forest. Morgan Gibbs-White with a late minute penalty at the 89th minute. This has happened a lot with West Ham. They've had a lot of close games where they've lost it by 1 goal. A lot of them this season. But they are away from home. They don't have to travel far, of course. But still, Tottenham are higher up in the table position than West Ham. They've got home advantage here. Tottenham did lose 3-2 to Bournemouth, but it was a close game, and they had some very big chances to make it 3-2 before Bournemouth did. And Tottenham are inconsistent. So considering they lost the last game, probably means they're going to win this game. I'm going 2-1 to Tottenham. West Ham, you're going to make it another close game. You're going to give it a good effort like you did against Nottingham Forest, like you did back when you just about lost to Aston Villa 3-2. But Tottenham have more on paper. They're a better squad, and they're going to win this 2-1. I think it's probably over for West Ham. Tottenham Hotspur 4-3 against West Ham. Random generator. I would love for that to be a reality.
Spurs come in with better form and a strong home record. West Ham's away struggles show again. 2-0 to Tottenham, comfortable control with Spurs rarely under threat.
It's at Ellen Road. It's Leeds United versus the Cottagers. Leeds United are definitely not going to get relegated. Even though they are in 16th, they're not going to go down. Because even though they seem to draw a lot, they play amazing football. When I've watched Leeds United, the way they pass, the way they move as a team is like a high quality European challenging placed team in the Premier League. I think of Leeds United really highly, and they are due a win. Fulham, they're doing amazing in recent time, beating Chelsea. But just thinking about it, Chelsea did go down to 10 men with Cucurella going because he got a red card. So if that didn't happen, I expect that game to probably be a draw. And Leeds United at Ellen Road, and trust me, Leeds United have been looking really good. It's leading up to a win. And that game versus Newcastle was one of my favourite games ever to watch as a Newcastle fan. It was a really exciting game, and I was laughing. I don't know, I was full of amazing emotion when Newcastle got that 4th goal. It feels so much better winning 4-3 late drama than just thrashing a team 5-0. It feels better, but it's not statistically better. It was a really good game to watch. end-to-end stuff. Leeds United started the game really well, better than Newcastle started. And at home here, I can only see Leeds United winning this. I'm going 1-0. They are gonna kick Fulham's booty. Leeds United 2-1 win. Random Generator agrees that Leeds are gonna win that game.
Leeds are unpredictable while Fulham are more composed in tight games. 2-1 to Fulham, scrappy early on, but Fulham edge it late.
City Ground up next. Nottingham Forest versus the Gunners. The Gunners are obviously gonna win this. I'm going 2-0 to Arsenal. Nottingham Forest. Yes, you won versus West Ham. Yes, that probably means you're gonna stay up. But you're against first place Arsenal, and you're in 17th. I'm not taking any risks and going for any upsets in this. Logical, straight to the point. It's probably going to be an Arsenal win, whether it's 2-0 or 1-0. I'm going 2-0. Nottingham Forest 0-0 versus Arsenal. Random Generator, you may be right with that. You never know.
Arsenal's defensive solidity and attacking momentum should be too much for Forest. 2-0 to Arsenal, professional domination without ever getting out of second gear.
Molyneux Stadium up next. It's Wolverhampton Wanderers versus Newcastle United. As I said earlier on in the video, that 4-3 win against Leeds United felt so good and was so entertaining. Obviously against Man City, that's quite the opposite to that Leeds game. Newcastle lost 2-0. And I'm starting to think Newcastle aren't going to win the Carabao Cup. They're not going to maintain victors of the Carabao Cup. Man City did deserve to win, and they probably deserved to win by 3-0 rather than 2-0. That VAR decision, I see why it was disallowed, and I sort of agree, but I also think it's a bit harsh. You might as well just carry on and give that as a goal. Newcastle didn't take advantage of that. Semenyo was in the right place at the right time. Doku played amazing. In my opinion, he should have been man of the match. Semenyo was just there to tap the ball in, but Doku created most of Man City's chances. And you might think, Newcastle, you lost 2-0. You barely created chances. In the first half, defensively, if we're going to take positives out of that game against Man City, Newcastle were rock solid. The defensive structure, the midfield structure. Newcastle had double shielding for their penalty box. Man City had 0 shots after 45 minutes. And Newcastle Wissa, that was such a big opportunity in the first half. How didn't you score that one-on-one with the keeper? Blazed it over. Newcastle did lack a bit of creativity in the attack, but I would say Lewis Hall, throughout 90 minutes, even when Man City were actually finally breaking Newcastle's defence, even when that was happening, Lewis Hall was amazing. I'm giving him like a 9 out of 10 performance. Lewis Hall defensively was fantastic. He even showed flary movements for Newcastle. And I think the one problem is the way Man City plays, the way Pep Guardiola plays, that possession style football hindered Newcastle really and made it a boring game. But Newcastle in the first half, it was a brilliant game, and Newcastle played better than Man City in the first half. Ever since Man City scored that goal, one tiny lapsus in concentration from the defence opened the floodgates, and ever since that goal went in, Newcastle's penalty area was way easier to break down. Newcastle lost their heads, but that is positive. Wolves are not as good as Man City. They're not going to be possession styled. Even though Newcastle are away from home and have a terrible away record, Newcastle should still win. I've told you the positives from that Man City game. And also, Newcastle hit the post. James Trafford making an amazing save as well onto the crossbar just before Newcastle hit the post against Man City. Oh my God, there is so much Newcastle did well and so much Newcastle could improve. But the things that Newcastle did terrible was not creating enough chances. But this time they are going to be able to, because it's going to be a bit more of an open game, because Wolves have been open all season. And credit to Wolves, they got a draw against Everton. And it's not because Everton went down to 9 men. That only happened near the end of the game. They genuinely played well when it was 11v11. So it's going to be a close game, but as I said, maybe it's Newcastle biasness. Newcastle are 6th, Wolves are 20th. Newcastle still look good. 2-1 to Newcastle United. A load of waffle, a load of excitement, and after this game week, I am confident Newcastle are going to go 5th. Newcastle United to win versus Wolves 1-0. And looking at the Random Generator's predictions, I have to admit, it could have another good week.
Newcastle carry far more attacking threat, especially in transition, while Wolves struggle defensively. 3-1 to Newcastle. Open game, but Newcastle dominate the chances.
Aston Villa versus Everton. It's going to be a close game. Jack Grealish obviously not going to be available, and Michael Keane not going to be available. Michael Keane's a crucial defender. He also scored in the last game against Wolves. I think because there's not going to be any Michael Keane, Aston Villa at home as well, I think they're going to go back on scoring form. Everton do have a good defence, but Aston Villa just have a better attack. 2-1 to Aston Villa. I don't think it's going to be another 0-0, especially when it's at Villa Park. And Everton, you still lost to Brentford 4-2, so your defence can still concede some goals. Yes, you've got just a Gana Gay and Njai returning back for this game, but I don't think it's going to be enough. Plus, they're probably going to be a bit tired from AFCON, so they probably won't play anyway. Dewsbury Hall might be returning for this game from his injury, but again, I don't think it's going to be enough. You're going to make it a close game, but it's against Aston Villa. They are a really good team. Aston Villa to lose to Everton 1-0. Now this does seem random generator.
Villa are strong at home and more proactive going forward. 2-1 to Aston Villa. Tight early, but Villa control the second half.
Brighton out of Albion versus AFC Bournemouth. This looks like a really close game all over. Brighton got a draw against Man City. Even though Man City dominated statistically, Matoma gets on the score sheet and gets a good point. Whilst Bournemouth finally win. Bournemouth no longer have Semenyo. He's gone to Man City. I thought he was going to be cut-tied, but he wasn't. That's the whole thing, isn't it? But Bournemouth, even without Semenyo, I still think you're going to be able to score goals. Krupi, Evanilson, Tavernier, David Brooks off the bench. Whoever's going to start. Those are the attacking and enough attacking qualities of Bournemouth to actually score 2 goals and compete against Brighton. All season, even when Bournemouth have been on bad form, Bournemouth have always, most of the time, shown great attacking quality. And I think now they finally won, they're going to be able to bounce off of that win as a bit of a domino effect. And it's overall going to be a close game. Desmond Tutu between Brighton and Bournemouth. If I would go for a winner, I would go Brighton. Brighton to win versus Bournemouth, I think that could happen. But I think Bournemouth have shown enough attacking quality to match Brighton's attacking quality.
Here's 10 Brighton versus Bournemouth. Brighton's structure and ball control should overwhelm Bournemouth. 2-0 to Brighton. Steady domination with Bournemouth barely in the game.
Goal of the week, I'm giving it to Antoine Semenyo. It was a late minute goal, dramatic scenes to make it 3-2 from 2-all at the 95th minute. And also it was a really clean finish as well. That's how you leave a club properly, unlike some players this season. Hope you're enjoying your new year, and I'll see you next time in my Champions League predictions. Toodaloo.